Okay, I need to share what Jesus revealed to me about why his earthly life lasted only 33 years. And I'm telling you, his explanation completely changed everything I thought I understood about time, purpose, and the value of every moment we're given. This isn't just theology, it's one of the most moving and meaningful truths I've ever encountered. You might think it sounds unbelievable, but a few nights ago, I had one of the clearest encounters with Jesus I've ever experienced. When I asked him the question humanity has wondered about for generations, his answer moved me to tears for hours. What he told me will transform the way you view your own life. Right now, I'm sitting in my living room. It's late afternoon and the light is coming through the window just right. I keep looking at the cross on the wall, trying to make sense of what happened. We're deep into filming season 6 of The Chosen, and I'm on a short break between blocks. But ever since we began this latest stretch of filming, one question has been weighing heavily on me, showing up again and again during recent scenes. As an actor, I've spent years portraying Jesus, learning his words and trying to understand his heart. But there was one mystery I could never shake. Why was his earthly life so short for someone so significant? Playing Jesus for 6 seasons has changed me in ways I never expected. Every day on set, I'm reminded of the impact he made, the people he reached, and the work he accomplished. But recently, I've been struck by this sobering reality. He lived only 33 years. That's it. Most of us have 70, 80, or even 90 years if we're fortunate. I kept thinking about all the people he never met, the conversations he never had, the sunsets he never saw, and the ordinary moments he didn't get to experience. It felt unfair and incomplete. Why would the Father allow his Son such a brief time on earth when there was still so much more he could have done? This wasn't an abstract question for me. It became personal. I've always struggled with time anxiety, the fear that I'm wasting the moments I've been given, that life is moving too fast. Playing Jesus intensified that feeling because I was constantly reminded of how limited our time is and how important it is to use it wisely. Growing up, I watched my grandparents age and I remember being afraid they wouldn't have enough time to do everything they hoped to do. That fear followed me into adulthood. I've lived with this constant sense that I'm racing against a clock, like every day I fail to achieve something meaningful is a day lost. The entertainment industry adds to that pressure. You're always aware of getting older, of opportunities passing, of younger actors coming in. It creates this quiet panic that your chance to make a difference is shrinking and that you have to work faster before time runs out. It's exhausting. But it wasn't only about career worry. I've lost friends over the years, people who passed away young, people with dreams still ahead of them, people who had so much life left. Each loss made me ask the same painful question. If God controls time, why doesn't he give us more of it? Last year, I visited a children's hospital for a charity event. Meeting kids who were battling serious illnesses, seeing their courage despite uncertain futures. It broke something in me. These amazing young lives with so much potential, yet possibly limited time. It didn't feel fair. The question became even more personal when I began thinking about my own life. Being in my 40s now, I catch myself calculating, if I live to 80, how many years are left? How many more holidays? How many more summers? How many more chances to tell the people I love how much they mean to me? The numbers are sobering. During this season's filming, we've been shooting scenes about Jesus' ministry and his growing conflict with religious leaders. Playing someone who fully knew his time was short while walking in absolute peace has been incredibly challenging. The emotional weight of those scenes has been heavy. How do you portray someone who understands eternity without fear? I found myself staying awake late into the night, pacing around my home, praying and wrestling with God. Why, Lord? Why only 33 years? Why do you limit our years? Why do children suffer? Why do good people die young? Why does time feel so limited when love feels limitless? These questions stayed with me. During sunsets, I'd think, Jesus saw about 12,000 of these. During dinners with friends, I'd think, he had a fixed number of meals, a limited number of conversations, a finite amount of laughter with his disciples. And wherever you're watching this from right now, whatever time it is for you, leave a comment. There's something meaningful about knowing we're all thinking about these same deep questions together. But returning to what I was struggling with, it made me deeply sad, yet also deeply grateful. Sad because it felt like such an injustice. The most important life ever lived, given the least time. Grateful because I realized I'd been taking my own days for granted, assuming I had endless tomorrows. The sadness, though, stayed heavy. I started having dreams about running out of time, about reaching the end of my life with regrets, about missing the opportunities that matter because I didn't understand how valuable every moment truly is. The anxiety was overwhelming me. It was affecting my sleep, my relationships, and even my ability to enjoy simple things. 3 nights ago, I finally reached a breaking point. I was sitting right here in this room looking at the cross and I just started crying, deep, uncontrollable tears. I cried for Jesus' short life, for everyone who dies young, and for how brief and fragile human life truly is. Through those tears, I began praying with more urgency than ever before. Jesus, I need clarity. I need to understand why your earthly life was so short. Was it really enough time? Did you ever feel limited? Did you want more time? Please help me understand. I prayed until I had nothing left. My voice was gone, my body exhausted, and eventually I fell asleep right on this couch, emotionally empty but still hoping that maybe, somehow, I would finally receive an answer to the question that had been weighing on my heart for months. What happened next completely reshaped everything I believed about time, purpose, and God's heart. I found myself in a place I can only describe as timeless. It wasn't earth and it wasn't heaven. It felt like something in between, filled with light that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The first thing I felt was absolute peace. Every fear about time, aging, and mortality disappeared. It felt like I was breathing freely for the first time in months, as if a heavy weight had been removed from my shoulders. And then I saw him. Jesus stood about 10 feet away. Strangely, he looked exactly as I'd always pictured him, yet also different. He felt ageless, like every stage of his life was present in him at the same time. The child, the teenager, the young teacher. His eyes carried depth, wisdom, and overwhelming tenderness. When he looked at me, I felt completely understood and completely loved. There was no judgment, only compassion for the struggle I had been carrying. He smiled, and it wasn't just a warm smile. It felt as though he already knew everything I'd been wrestling with and had been waiting for this moment to answer it. Jonathan, he said, his voice gentle but full of strength. I've seen you struggling with this question. I've seen your tears and heard your prayers. Your heart aches because you care deeply. This question does not come from doubt. It comes from love. Tears filled my eyes again. Lord, I just don't understand, I said. 33 years feels so short for someone with so much to give. Why didn't the Father give you more time? Why doesn't he give any of us more time? Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder, and immediately I felt comfort, like I was completely safe and fully understood. That is the right question, he said. And the answer will ease the burden you've been carrying about time. Are you ready to understand how the Father sees time? I nodded, though I was shaking, part awe, part anticipation. I knew whatever he was about to say would change me. Walk with me, Jesus said. Suddenly, we were moving through a landscape that kept shifting. At times it looked like the hills of Galilee, at other times like a garden, and sometimes like places I can't compare to anything on earth. Each step felt meaningful, like we were moving through time itself. My breathing slowed, my thoughts cleared, and all the anxiety and fear I'd been holding began to fade. Before explaining why his 33 years were perfect, Jesus said, "You need to understand how the Father views time compared to how humans view it. You see time as scarce, running out, something to fear. But that's not how time exists in the Father's heart." We stopped walking. Jesus turned toward me with a calm, patient expression, like a teacher ready to explain something deep and important. "You're not really asking about my 33 years, he said. "You're asking what it means to live a meaningful life." Something opened inside me, like a new understanding was forming. This wasn't going to be a surface-level explanation. This would heal something deep within me that I didn't even realize was wounded. "Jonathan," he said, "what if I told you that every moment of those 33 years was filled with purpose, so full of love and so aligned with the Father's will, that they held more life than what many experience in an entire century?" His voice carried a sense of joy, like he was sharing something precious. The truth of his words washed over me. My whole perspective on time began to change. "So it wasn't about how many years you had," I said slowly, "but about how fully you lived each one." Jesus' face brightened with joy. "Exactly," he said. "Now let me show you what 33 years of intentional living truly look like, and why my time on earth was not too short but perfectly designed." The scenery around us shifted again, shimmering with meaning. I sensed that what I was about to learn would reshape my understanding of time, purpose, and what it means to live with the Father's heart. "Let me share 7 truths about time that will bring healing," Jesus said. A warm golden light filled the space around us. "These are not just facts about my life. They are principles that can transform how everyone understands the gift of time. The first truth is this: time is not measured by length but by depth. In my 33 years, I experienced the full range of human emotion, relationship, and challenge. I did not need more time, I needed full presence in every moment." As he spoke, images appeared around us like living memories. Jesus as a child learning carpentry from Joseph, laughing with Mary, playing with other children. Every scene felt rich, filled with meaning and connection. There was no rushing, no longing for more time, only complete presence. He continued, I was fully present in the joy of childhood. I see people today, some 33 years old, who feel they wasted their youth, or others at 70 who feel they never truly lived. Watch this. The scene shifted to Jesus as a young man, working with his hands, caring for his mother, building meaningful relationships in Nazareth. Every interaction was intentional, filled with love. The second truth is this: impact isn't measured by years but by love given. In just 3.5 years of ministry, I touched more hearts, changed more lives, and influenced eternity more than anyone else. Not because I hurried, but because every word, touch, and moment was full of the Father's love. The scenes shifted to his ministry years, healing the sick, teaching crowds, sharing meals with outcasts, embracing children. What stood out wasn't the miracles, but the quality of attention he gave to each person. He never thought, I need more time with this person. He gave them everything he could in each moment. Your generation obsesses over productivity, trying to do more in less time. You miss the point entirely. I didn't heal more people by rushing. I healed by being fully present, giving complete love in the moment. The third truth is this: every moment carries eternal potential. No day, no conversation is insignificant. Whether I was teaching thousands, speaking with one, or spending quiet time with my mother, each moment held sacred importance. I watched as scenes unfolded. Jesus talking with the woman at the well, playing with children, having deep conversations around a fire, sharing quiet moments with Mary. Every word, every touch, every interaction mattered. The fourth truth will surprise you, he said. I was never in a hurry. Even knowing time was short, even with so much to do, I moved at a peaceful pace. I rested, enjoyed meals, watched sunsets, and laughed with children. Rushing would have reduced the quality of every moment. I realized how much of my own life I spent rushing, anxious about passing time. You mean, I asked, even with only 3 years of ministry you didn't feel pressure to hurry? He smiled. Hurrying is the enemy of presence, and presence is where love lives. The fifth truth is about legacy. What matters isn't how long you live, but how much love you leave behind. When I left Earth, I had a family of followers filled with love, ready to share it and transform the world. They didn't need me to stay longer, they carried my love forward. True impact multiplies through others. I could see the disciples after Jesus' resurrection. They weren't upset or feeling cheated. They overflowed with love, truth, and purpose. The love continued to spread across the world. Your fear of not having enough time comes from thinking your presence alone determines impact. But love reproduces itself. The people you love well will love others tomorrow. The kindness you show creates ripples long after you're gone. Quality love multiplies exponentially. The sixth truth addresses your deepest fear. There is no wasted time when you live in love. You worry about lost years or missed opportunities, but every moment lived in love, even small, hidden moments, matters eternally. The scenes shifted to ordinary life, helping Mary with tasks, sharing simple conversations, praying quietly, resting with friends. These weren't lesser moments, they were the foundation that enabled public ministry. Love in small acts creates capacity for love in greater acts. You measure life by achievements, he said, but I measure it by love given and received. That conversation with a neighbor, listening to a friend, helping a stranger, these moments are as precious to the Father as any sermon I ever preached. I began crying again, but these were different tears, tears of relief, understanding, and healing. So the time spent being present, showing care, showing up, that is not wasted, he said. It's the most important time. It's where eternity touches earth. The seventh and most important truth: perfect love removes fear of time. When you live in my love, trust the Father's timing, and understand that worth isn't measured by productivity, anxiety about time fades. You live from rest, not rushing toward it. As he spoke, a sense of peace washed over me. All the anxiety, fear, and pressure about time disappeared. You mean, I asked, I don't need to fear running out of time? Jonathan, you've been treating time as an enemy instead of a gift. Time is a gift, infused with the Father's love and purpose. When you trust his timing and focus on loving well, every moment becomes enough. The scenes shifted to show people of all ages living fully, not because they had the most years but because they loved deeply. Children showing kindness, teenagers choosing good, young adults serving, middle-aged mentoring, elderly sharing wisdom. Do you see now? Jesus asked gently. It's not about how long your story is but how much love fills it. My 33 years held more love, purpose, and eternal impact than 100 years lived without full love, service, or trust in the Father. I was beginning to understand. It was liberating. When I fear not having enough time, I'm actually afraid of not loving enough, not trusting enough, not being fully present. And the solution, he said, isn't more time. It's deeper love in the time you have. Exactly. And the beautiful part, he continued, is that when you live this way, focusing on love, time itself feels richer, fuller, more satisfying. Minutes feel like hours when lived fully. Moments feel like eternity when saturated with love. Consider this. Would you rather live 100 distracted, anxious years rushing through life, or 33 years completely awake, present, and in love with life, people, and the Father? The answer was clear, and it healed something deep inside me I didn't even realize was broken. I want to live like you did, I whispered. I want to be present, to love deeply, to trust the Father's timing, to stop fearing time and start being grateful for it. Jesus smiled, that radiant, comforting smile again. That's why you're here, Jonathan. That's why I'm sharing this with you. Not just for your own healing, but because millions carry the same fear you've been carrying. They need to know that their worth isn't measured by productivity, that their time isn't running out, and that every moment is a gift meant to be cherished. And here's the most beautiful part, he said, his voice full of joy. When people stop fearing time and start living fully in it, they begin to experience life the way the Father intended, as a continuous gift of love, moment by moment, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. As he spoke, the golden light around us grew brighter, and I felt the presence of the Father, not seeing him, but sensing his overwhelming love, perfect peace, and deep joy over every moment given to his children. It was emotionally overwhelming. Tears streamed down my face, but they weren't of sadness anymore. They were tears of relief, healing, and joy. All the anxiety about time, fear of mortality, and pressure to accomplish more melted away as I understood the preciousness and perfection of each moment. Do you feel that? Jesus asked softly. That's the Father's heart for every moment of your life. He doesn't see your time as running out. He sees it as being poured out like precious oil, each drop invaluable. He's not disappointed in how you've used your time. He delights in every moment you've loved, shown kindness, and been fully present. I sobbed, deep, healing sobs that seemed to release years of fear and anxiety about time. I've been so afraid, I whispered. Afraid of wasting time, of not accomplishing enough, of dying with regrets. I've lived in constant panic instead of constant gratitude. Jesus reached out, holding me as I cried. His embrace offered everything I needed, understanding, comfort, complete acceptance. I know, he whispered. I've watched you carry this burden, and my heart has ached for you. But you can let it go now. You can stop fearing time and start falling in love with the gift of each moment. Through my tears, I asked the question that weighed most heavily on my heart. What about those who die young? The children in hospitals? My friends who never lived full lives? How do I make peace with that? Jesus' expression was full of tenderness and compassion. Jonathan, those souls didn't live less because they lived fewer years. They lived differently but not less. A child who lives 5 years in love experiences as much life as someone who lives 50 in fear. Life isn't measured by duration. It's measured by the depth of love, joy, and connection experienced. He gestured, and suddenly I could see them, all those I had grieved for, those who died young or faced difficult lives. But they weren't diminished. They were radiant, whole, complete. Their lives hadn't been cut short. They had been perfectly lived in the time given. Do you see them? Jesus asked joyfully. They're not incomplete. They're not cheated. Every moment of love, every connection, every act of joy, they all mattered eternally. Their stories weren't too short. They were exactly the length the Father intended. I was overwhelmed, realizing that my grief had stemmed from misunderstanding life itself. They hadn't missed anything essential. They had lived fully, and that was enough. It was perfect, complete, exactly what the Father planned. But why does it hurt so much? I asked through my tears. Why does losing loved ones cause such pain if their time was perfect? Jesus nodded knowingly. Because love creates connection. When those connections are separated by death, the love remains, but the presence is missed. That grief isn't wrong. It's beautiful. It shows how deeply you love. Pain from loss isn't because life was incomplete. It's because your love was complete. Grief is love with nowhere to go. He continued gently, and here's what will comfort your heart. That love doesn't disappear when someone's earthly time ends. It continues. It grows. It connects you across eternity. Something in me healed, something I hadn't even realized was broken. When I miss them, when I wish they had more time, I'm actually celebrating how much love we shared. Jesus smiled. Exactly. That love is eternal. The connections you made are real, precious, and part of who you are. Their influence continues forever. I felt a profound shift, from fear to gratitude, from anxiety to peace, from seeing time as my enemy to understanding it as my friend. I want to live like this, I said with conviction. I want to stop fearing time and start being present in it. I want to love completely, without fear or reservation. Jesus' face lit up with joy, pride, and love. That's exactly what the Father wants for you, Jonathan. And not just you. Everyone watching this message needs to hear it. They can stop fearing running out of time and start being grateful for the time they have. They can stop measuring life by achievements and start measuring it by love. Every person who hears this carries some version of the fear you've carried. Fear of wasting time, fear of not accomplishing enough, fear of dying with regrets, he continued. But what if they realized that every moment lived in love matters eternally? What if they understood that their worth isn't measured by productivity but by their capacity to love and be loved? I felt the truth of his words settle deep in my soul, healing fears I had carried for years and bringing peace to anxieties I didn't even know controlled my life. This isn't just about time, I said, feeling clarity. This is about trusting the Father's perfect plan for our lives, isn't it? Now you see with the Father's eyes, Jesus said with love in his voice. When you trust his timing, focus on loving well in whatever time you're given, and stop comparing your journey to others, something beautiful happens. You begin to experience each day as the gift it's meant to be. And the most wonderful part, he added, voice full of anticipation. When you live present, grateful, and focused on love rather than time, you discover that every moment is enough. Not because you have more time, but because you are fully alive in the time you have. You're not rushing toward the next thing, you're celebrating the present moment. As he spoke, I felt profound peace, deep joy, and incredible gratitude for every moment I had ever lived. Even the difficult ones, the ones I thought were wasted, and the ones filled with pain. All had been part of my story, opportunities to love or be loved, gifts from a Father who sees time differently than we do. Thank you, I whispered, meaning it with every fiber of my being. Thank you for showing me this truth, for healing my fear of time, for helping me understand that your 33 years weren't too short, they were perfect. And thank you for helping me see that my time, whatever I'm given, can be perfect too if I live it as you did. As the vision began to fade and I returned to my living room, Jesus spoke one final message I will never forget. Tell them they can start living this way right now. They don't need to wait. This very day, this hour, this moment is their chance to choose presence over pressure, love over anxiety, gratitude over fear. I opened my eyes on the couch, but everything felt different. Anxiety about time was gone, replaced by an incredible sense of peace and purpose. I looked at the wooden cross on the wall with new eyes, understanding that it represents not just sacrifice, but living completely present, completely loving, and completely trusting in the Father's timing. The first thing I did was call my mother, a conversation I had been postponing. We talked for an hour, fully present and grateful. Every word felt precious. Over the past 3 days, I've been living differently. I'm savoring conversations instead of rushing, focusing on love and attention instead of worrying about tasks, and grateful for the time I have. And amazingly, even moving more slowly, I'm accomplishing more meaningful things than when I rushed. Love and presence make everything more fruitful, more satisfying, more impactful. This message isn't just for me. It's for anyone carrying fear about time, parents worrying about spending enough quality time with their children, people concerned they haven't achieved enough, anyone anxious about aging or mortality. Jesus' truth can free all of us from the tyranny of time and anxiety. So let me pray for everyone watching, knowing there are many who carry this burden. Father God, I lift up every person watching this message, everyone struggling with time anxiety, afraid of running out of time or not accomplishing enough. Help them see time through your eyes, not as scarce but as sacred to be savored. Show them that every moment lived in love matters eternally, and their worth is measured by love, not productivity. Heal their fear of time, replacing it with gratitude. Give them courage to slow down, be present, and focus on quality over quantity in relationships and activities. Help them trust your perfect timing, knowing the time they're given is exactly enough to fulfill your purposes. Let them experience each day as the gift it's meant to be. Comfort those grieving loved ones who died young, showing that their lives were complete, not less, and that love continues beyond earthly time. Set them free from anxiety that steals joy today by worrying about tomorrow. Help them embrace Jesus' example of living fully present, completely loving and trusting in your timing. Let them measure life by love rather than duration, knowing they are loved beyond measure and every moment is an opportunity for eternal impact. If this message touched your heart today, subscribe and share your story in the comments. How has God been speaking to you about time, purpose, or trusting His perfect plan? In Jesus' beautiful name, amen.